Hello, my name's Mary Taylor. I live in the northwest of England. My educational background is very arty. I studied art, theatre studies and English literature at A-level, which I really enjoyed, and I find the arts endlessly interesting and fascinating. And I studied English literature at Newcastle University, where I got a 2-1. Um, yeah, I really want to travel abroad and particularly teach in Turkey because, well, I've always liked the idea of travelling since being a young age, and I always knew I was going to travel one day. However, I don't just want to travel for the sake of travelling, like without a purpose. I want to actually do something worthwhile and valuable actually for, the community of wherever I'm going to. And I just think, what a better way than to actually live in Istanbul and help people learn English at the same time. It's just such a worthwhile, lovely thing to do. In terms of classroom management, I had a experience teaching at a summer school in Canterbury in the UK this past summer, and what I did was, before each lesson I'd make sure I arrived to the classroom at least 5 minutes early, and I'd just make sure that I had the whole classroom organised, all the chairs laid out in the way that I wanted it, make sure the room was cool enough, made sure that whatever materials I want to use would be working for my lesson, and that I was fully prepared. And then when the students come in, just generally have an upbeat personality and create a positive learning environment where the students feel encouraged and excited in learning. Also what I did was, when I took the register at the beginning of the lesson, the students would stand up, and then I would move them maybe to sit with other students, so they weren't always sitting with friendship groups, because they would tend to talk too much if they did that. So I would mix them all up, which helped a lot. Also, I've got a really good method for controlling classroom management. You draw a time bomb in the corner with a long fuse, and when the students are naughty, you just rub off a little bit of the fuse and you say, look, when this bomb goes off, you'll just have to do a really boring grammar exercise at the end of the lesson instead of a fun game, so you better behave. And that normally works really well. If I had a very, very difficult student who just wasn't cooperating at all, then I would, first just try to encourage them to see that they're in the wrong and to self-correct. If this didn't help, then I would move them to sit on their own, which would hopefully, make them want to behave, so they can either sit back with a friend or something like that. Or if all else failed and they were still being disruptive towards other students' learning, then I would ask them to leave the classroom or stay behind at the end of the class, and I can just have a discussion with them and just see, what's wrong, and is there something I can do to help them, and just offer them a bit of guidance, really. Also, at the beginning of the lesson, I might just set out simple rules and just say, take out what you need from your bags and leave them at the back of the classroom, and no mobile phones, no chewing gum, or things like that, just to set the general tone of the lesson, and just to make sure that they can't just, mess about in the lesson. It's got to be taken seriously. I think that's pretty much it. After my experience in Canterbury that I had this past summer, like it went really well, and I really enjoyed it, and I was lucky I had lovely students. But yeah, some of them did talk, as kids do, a bit too much, one or two or three, and yeah, when that happened, I would just say, look, if I'd kind of negotiate and say, if you do this and if you do it well, I would, I'd praise them quite a lot, and I'd say, if you do, then we can do this fun game, we can play this fun game at the end of the lesson. And so that would normally, if you set things up like that, that normally gets them motivated to do as they're told. Yes, okay, well, if you would like to ask me any more questions, then let me know, and I look forward to meeting you, if I do meet you in Turkey, or having a conversation about all this later. Thank you. Bye.